Hello, and welcome to the Star Power Cast, the definitive podcast for the game of Star Power Baseball, a game for generations where your fantasy baseball comes to life on the tabletop. We'll also discuss the history of baseball and just the present state of the game itself. I'm Jim Trovo, the baseball nerd, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Cincinnati Dennis. We hope you all enjoy the show. 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to Star Power Cast. We are going to talk this week about the National League 2026 predictions, and we have a very special guest on the show, a person that hasn't been on the show for a while, but he's been an advocate for the show for Star Power for a long time, and he also is the creator of our tagline at the end of our show. Everybody welcome Gabriel Garnica. Gabe, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. Great pleasure to be here with you guys again.
Yes, and I am always like joyous to have a New Yorker on our show because I think New York is the baseball mecca of the world. So I really appreciate your time and being on here. And so let's get this kicked off and started. Cincinnati Dennis, how you doing?
Cincinnati Dennis is doing amazing.
Great.
Really good.
Awesome. Well, Gabe, if you want, just tell us maybe what you've kind of been up to for a little bit in the past. I don't know however long it's been since we've talked to you on the show.
As far as what? As far as the game or what?
Well, whatever you want to do, man. Like the game or just like life in general.
Well, just generally, I teach college, so I'm doing my teaching stuff, and just for example, now lately I've been kind of getting a little interested in this, the World Baseball Classic. I was looking this morning. I was looking at a projection that this guy had, and he basically said he can't believe how anybody could beat either the United States or the Dominican Republic. Especially the United States team looks like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it looks like he predicted they're just going to annihilate everybody because they look like I would like to see your cards on that team. That team is just great. So,
We'll make them. That'll be made.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I that's a fascinating little thing. You don't get that all the time. So just kind of interested in that. And other than that, just enjoying sports in general.
Yeah.
The news just came down Friday that the United States starting pitchers are only going to pitch one game.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they're going to have to rotate them all the time. But they're only going to start one game. That's it.
Well, I'm trying to remember how the setup is. How many games do they have? Let's see. They're in.
I believe there's two.
So
bracket.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. Like, looks like on Tuesday there's just a whole bunch of kind of like exhibition games going on, and then maybe some different ones going, and then looks like Wednesday and Thursday's pool play. Czechoslovakia, Korea, Australia, Czechoslovakia, Japan, Taipei. So they start that play there. I'm not seeing a lot of USA versus Brazil on Friday. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of like games, so to say. It's like, I guess like, hey, elimination games here and there, but like I can see why they're going to do like the whole, hey, you can only pitch one game.
Well, if it sounds like, I don't know how you guys think about this, but it sounds like if I was a manager of the U.S. team, I'm just being honest here, and I don't want to sound obnoxious, but I think the U.S. team could kind of line up their pitchers and just work their way backward towards the front, because I have a feeling that they could win most games just with the back end of any pitching rotation they set up.
Yeah.
And it would be pretty nice to have Skeens and Screwball as your last two pitchers that haven't pitched when the games matter the most.
That may be what they do too. DeRosa's the manager again.
Yeah, that just having those two guys on your rotation is ridiculous. And then if you set it up in reverse order where the pitching actually gets stronger as the competition gets stronger, I think it'd be a nice strategy.
I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. It looks like the next 10 days or so are just kind of like pool plays where, they play 2, 3 games, and then the serious stuff starts on March 13th.
Yeah, imagine having Skeens as your semifinal pitcher and Screwball as your final pitcher.
Yeah.
Imagine them going against Japan. Because I know your buddies were saying Dominican. Hey, Japan is always there.
Yeah, I know that Dominican Republic. I mean, it looked really incredible like a month ago, but a couple of things, including Peralta and some other people, are not going to be in the team. I heard. So I mean, then Peralta's not pitching for the Dominican, so they're going to be weaker. Their pitching is considerably weaker than United States, obviously. So I think that, it's definitely Japan and Dominican, like second and third, whatever.
And
But I don't.
and Japan's going to pull somebody out that'll be the next Dodger that'll
Yeah.
come out of there, that we've never heard of yet that'll wind up being amazing.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I said this on our last podcast episode. I think the sleeper team is Korea because they're not dealing with a whole bunch of things that like a lot of these MLB teams are dealing with now, with like stuff like insurance and that type of thing, where hey, this player can't play because they're not insured, that type of stuff. And I think Korea doesn't have any of that going on, but Korea is still really good. If Korea can get past Japan, I think Korea's got like the legitimate shot of winning it.
Yeah, it
Go
should be interesting.
USA.
Yeah, it's gonna be a continuation of the Olympic hockey.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. I sure enjoyed it 3 years ago when Trout faced Shohei. That was like one of the
That was
biggest moments in sports history in the last 20 or 30 years. That was incredible.
It was literally a showdown. Yeah.
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 All right, cool little discussion on the World Baseball Classic. I'm looking forward to it every year, or every other, or 2 or 3, 4 years, whatever it comes out. It's super fun to watch. Last time was great because it had that Shohei Mike Trout ending that was just classic, and
Yeah.
that really just like catapulted Shohei into the limelight, and people kind of discovered who that guy actually was if they had not already known. But hey, let's talk about the NL, the 2026 NL division this year, the National League division. And we're going to go through this, or National League. And we're going to go this division by division. And we're going to start with the West. So last time we had this show, we did the AL. We're looking at the NL this year with Gabe and Dennis and myself. And so let's look at the NL. Let's start with a really easy team to analyze. Let's look at the Colorado Rockies. What are our statements on the Colorado Rockies? Who wants to start this one?
Colorado is irrelevant.
Yeah, I really, it kind of ties into what you were, implying earlier. Some things change and some things don't change, and I don't know if the only thing that will change the only consistent thing with Colorado is their city is always at the same height above sea level.
I'll say this about the Rockies. What they are going to do, they're going to determine who finishes second in that division. Whoever beats them up the most between the Padres, Giants, and D-backs, whoever beats them up the most is going to finish second in that division. Playing 13 games against them, if they can go 10-3, another team goes 11-2, another team goes 12-1, that team will win second in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Rockies have no hope. They're so bad.
Yeah, sometimes a team's influence is not so much how good they are, but how should I put this? How other teams end up not taking advantage of giving up on them.
Yeah.
And you got to remember this too. They are still major leaguers.
Yeah.
They are capable of winning at any time.
Right, but they're not. They're like literally the worst major leaguers.
Yes.
So,
But
yeah, okay.
But Dennis said, like, if the Padres and the Giants are fighting for second and one of them plays the Rockies and for some reason, lets themselves lose 2 out of 3, like Dennis said, that could do it. So nobody wants to be that team that ends up messing it up because they lost to the Rockies, but it could happen.
Exactly. Yeah. The Reds have an Achilles heel with the Pirates. They can't beat the Pirates, and they're terrible. Here it goes, man. Whoever can't beat the Rockies between those 3 teams, D-back, Giants, and Padres, whoever has a bad time against the Rockies, they're going to probably be left home.
Yeah. All right. So there's 3 other teams in this division besides the Dodgers, And let's look at the three others before we look at the Dodgers. Let's look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Do we think they're going to be better or worse than they were last year? Last year they finished 80 and 82. Are they the same? Are they better? Like what Gabe, what do you think about the Diamondbacks?
I think the problem is they have Arenado and Carlos Santana, right?
Yeah, they picked up Arenado. I thought they picked up Santana. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I get it's going to be one of those things with. It depends on how the younger players do. I think they might take a step back. Maybe end up with like 78 wins or something. Just a minor thing. Maybe two games less than last year.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that they're going to take a slight step back. It's not going to be like a major thing.
Yeah.
But they might take a step back.
They didn't pick up any pitching at all, and that's what really hurts.
And then so yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at the Giants. How about the Giants this year? Dennis, what do you think about what do you think about the Giants?
They spent some money. They went out and got some ball players. They definitely did that.
That's why the Diamondbacks might take a step back, because I think the Giants are going to be a lot more, a lot more trouble for everybody in that division. So
they picked up two good pitchers, I believe.
Yeah, they definitely made an effort. That's for sure, to get better.
Well, yeah. I saw a comment from Matt Chapman, and he said one of the reasons that he did a long-term deal with the Giants is because he thought that Buster Posey was a general manager that wanted to win. And honestly, with the Giants, like, they still have one of the best pitchers in baseball with Logan Webb. They still have Robbie Ray. They still have other people in that staff that, like, the Giants are going to be fine on pitching. That's pretty much what they are. It's just that can they rely on Rafi Devers learning first base? Can they shift Luis Arise at second? Because they got their shortstop and their third baseman. Those guys are good. Their outfield, they picked up Harrison Bader, which I think is pretty cool. Jung-Hoo Lee, is he going to actually be worth the money that they paid him?
Well, also going back to their pitching, they picked up a good fourth starter in Tyler Mahle. Tyler Mahle is a really good 150 inning guy.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys think that if you were going to just give an assessment of the gap between the Padres and the Giants, would you say it's not that big? How would you assess that gap between those two teams?
Oh, man. For me personally, I think the gap between the Padres and the Giants is pretty big. Like, I think the Padres are a better club. Just they are run better. I like the Giants clubhouse with Buster Posey as the GM, but I just think the Padres have more experience, and I still think they're going to be the biggest threat to the Dodgers.
I think it comes down to who beats up on the Rockies, man. I'm telling you, the Rockies are going to determine which team in this division either finishes second or wild card. It all comes down to how bad they can beat up the Rockies, because these guys against each other are going to go 7-6.
I think the Giants are maybe a year or two away from really making kind of improving more. I think the Padres still hang on for a second. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
All right. So Gentry, who's your predictor to win? What do you got? Dodgers
for winning the West.
We haven't even talked about the Dodgers.
Well, I'm gonna focus on the Padres just a little bit more. I think that I'm looking at their lineup, and actually, I think their lineup is still not very strong. They still are relying on Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts. I want to see how Jake Cronenworth comes along. I want to see how Nick Castellanos adapts to that team. Is Ramon Laureano still going to be good? Is Jackson Merrill going to enter his third season being a star? Like, I really do think that they picked up Miguel Andujar as well. So I think they have potential as a lineup. I just think it's going to be the same old from them. I do think they have the best defensive catcher in the league with Freddie Fermin. And then Luis Campusano is a decent backup, but they're pitching. They have one particular bullpen guy that nobody talks about is Mason Miller. And they
110 miles an hour.
they were talking about turning him into a starter, but I still think he's probably the best closer, one of the best closers in baseball.
I'll tell you right now, Christopher Hare is going to be listening to the podcast, and he is partying right now because Nick Castellanos is no longer a Philly. He is a happy camper up there in Philadelphia.
I've always
You
thought,
know, I was just thinking about what Dennis said before. If you close your eyes and you say battle to decide who is in second place in this division, if you had the Padres against the Rockies or the Giants and then against the Rockies, which of those two teams, the Padres or the Giants, is more likely to allow the Rockies, as Dennis kind of said, to win one or two games out of those three?
yeah,
And I think the Giants would be more likely to allow that to happen. So
Yeah.
that's why I think that if you visualize it, the Padres would be less likely to make such a mess up at the end of the season.
yeah,
So,
agreed. And then we have the Dodgers.
The new evil empire.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much the same team as they were last year with Kyle Tucker as an addition.
And lost
Yeah.
one guy.
yeah, Tucker and Diaz. That's all. That's all
Yeah. So they also got a closer as well, Edwin Diaz.
They did get Bugle Boy, didn't they?
By the way, I heard a report this morning. They got 5 of the best hot dog vendors from another team this morning. So,
That doesn't surprise me at all. The one thing what the
And they're paying
Dodgers
them in
will do,
deferments.
what the Dodgers are going to do is have a huge IL all year long, running these guys in and out from the IL, get them a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then a week off the IL. So that come October, the starting 26 is the best in baseball.
yeah, that can I just realized something with what Dennis just said. If you were the Dodgers manager, would you say to yourself, look, the main thing here is winning it all. We're good enough that we can play game. I mean, they're not going to say this to everybody, but he's thinking to himself, we're good enough that we can do things that the average team would never dare do. Can we look at the regular season as, let's just maybe not put it at full blast, bring people in and out, ensure that everybody's fresh, and just make sure we win the division. Forget about trying to win 120 games. Just try to win the division and have everybody fresh, because you'd rather have everybody fresh and have 103 wins than have 118 wins and just have everybody wasted at the end of the season.
You mean just like they did last year?
Yeah, just basically there. In other words, it's almost like, I hate to say this, but it's almost like the Dodgers are a microcosm of like the NHL or the NBA within baseball. They're literally playing for the postseason the whole year.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And
Somebody else
they are so deep in the payroll. They have guys that are not even going to be on the team in April, that'll be there in May and June, that would be stalwarts on other pennant contenders.
Yeah, they can play games that other teams would never dare play because they can't.
They can't. The Dodgers payroll at $350 million this year is ridiculous, but that's the way the game is played today for the big boys. That's how the big boys play.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't like the Dodgers, the only thing that you can hope is that, and I'm kind of giving a little hint of what I expect in the World Series, maybe Seattle puts their guy at third base a couple of feet closer to home this time.
Yeah. I think it's easy to predict that the Dodgers are going to win that division. You can, with that team, you can kick back, obviously. I do think though that this year, with the three-peat and the collective bargaining agreement looming for them from the whole league in December coming up this year, I do think they want to get that three-peat. And so I think they're going to push those guys a little bit more, be like, hey, try to stay off the IL a little bit more than you usually are. I do think they're going to make a major, like they didn't really make a huge trade last year before the deadline. I think this year they're going to, depending on like pitcher availability and that type of stuff, because Blake Snell again is like starting off on an injured thing, and they can afford it. They can totally afford it. Is Roki Sasaki going to be a starter or a closer? Because I watched his outing the other day in spring training, and it wasn't very good. I'm kind of like, dude, I think you just should. I think Roki Sasaki should be a closer for that matter. And
Well,
yeah,
you
go
know
ahead.
what my definition of a nightmare is. This morning I read some columnist said he predicts that the Tigers will trade Skubal to the Dodgers at midseason.
Ugh.
If that ever happened, everybody can just walk away.
Everybody already expects that. That's expected among almost all the experts right now. They're surprised that it didn't happen in the off season.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, hopefully he just, that would just be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yeah, Dodgers definitely in the West. So let's move on to the NL East, and let's start towards the bottom, heading to the top from last year. Let's start with the Washington Nationals. Man, there's really not much to say about them. They have a couple great players that they've had, but I think they're still bottom dwellers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to them, man. Like they got rid of Mackenzie Gore, their best pitcher, literally their best pitcher. They got rid of him. They're just in overhaul and overbuild mode or rebuild mode.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
And everybody was all hyped up about C.J. Abrams, and I'm not real pumped up about C.J. Abrams.
He had a 3.4 WAR last year, man. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I like James Wood.
He's still pretty good.
I like James Wood a lot.
Yeah. So, we'll see what Dylan Cruz can do for them because he didn't have a stellar rookie season for them. We'll see if he can rebound. But Nationals, meh. Okay, let's go to the Marlins.
Yeah.
I generally do not like the Marlins at all. I really don't. I'm not a Miami Marlins fan. But what I think this team is doing can be a little bit frightening for people in the NL East. I do think they are a team that can be definitely a playoff threat, and they are sneakily good in regards to pitching and regards to speed on the base paths.
Yeah, if you see their record since from late June to the end of the season, that they were one of the best teams. It seemed like the way they were playing.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they swept the Reds. They did last year. They were one of the teams that swept them.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to definitely. You can't. They're not a joke. That's for sure.
No, they're not. Young players in Miami are hungry. You cannot underestimate and look over young, hungry players that don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
I also think a very big comeback season for Sandy Alcantara is due. He came back from Tommy John surgery last year, had a very subpar season, but I do think that he is. I want to see 2026 as a season for the ages for Sandy Alcantara. I think he's going to come back and be good.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the top 10 pitchers again.
Yeah.
Well, he's hitting his prime. He's going to be in his age 30 season.
And this is the scary part about the Marlins. If you look at their bullpen last year, the Miami Marlins bullpen was scary, and it's one thing that was not talked about this team, and it's a whole bunch of nobody guys. And I mean, maybe these guys are the same, maybe they're not, because the bullpens are very, very sketchy. They're very, very inconsistent sometimes. But the Marlins had one of the best bullpens in baseball last year, so we'll see how well they can do.
One thing that I've always kind of had this feeling about the Marlins, why they're so dangerous, is they sort of putting it in perspective of teams this year. They get treated as if they were the Nationals and Rockies sometimes by people, but they're much, much better than that. And they seem to know it. And in other words, they get, in my opinion, they always get unjustly underestimated. And I think this year that might change. That people might say, you know what, we got to stop underestimating this team. So I agree with you that they're going to be surprisingly tough this year. So.
Yeah. All right. So the next one on the list, I have the Braves, the Atlanta Braves, who had honestly like one of the most disappointing seasons last year.
Everything went wrong, right?
The 2023 Braves were so good offensively, one of the best offenses of all time, and they just collapsed in the last 2 years. And I'm disappointed in them. I kind of grew up watching this team as a kid. Their offense is still good, but man, what's with the Braves pitching, man? What do we think about the Braves pitching?
I don't know.
The Braves were stuck up with injuries, injuries, injuries. Losing 9 in a row to start the season didn't help any. They never recovered from the first 9 losses. Never got off the wagon after that. I think you're going to see a healthier Braves team this year that's going to be right in the thick of deciding that division and maybe even win that division.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to be a lot better this year. You can't count on them being what happened. Like you said, everything went wrong for them last year. You can never count on that happening.
No, and you know that they're one of the best run organizations in baseball.
Yes.
Their management and ownership is some of the best in baseball. I'm looking at them right there, man. They're in the top. The top 3 teams in this division for me, they're all the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they did suffer a major setback with Spencer Schwellenbach gone for the year.
It's Tommy John.
Yeah.
Mm.
Their bullpen's okay at best. I mean, they got some good arms in there. But here's the thing. I think for the Braves to do anything, your number 1 and your number 2, your Chris Sale and your Spencer Strider, have to be healthy and have to be at their peak. You know?
Strider was kind of subpar, but he came back from surgery also.
Yeah.
Second year back from surgery, usually you do a lot better.
I don't know why I get the feeling that going with what Gentry was saying before, I get the feeling, and believe me, as a Mets fan, I've been there. I've seen that happen within a week. Forget about a season. I've seen that happen within a week. Their offense might be better than last year, like healthier, whatever. Everything comes together, but their pitching might not. Like as you guys were kind of saying, it kind of depends on Chris Sale and Strider. Ironically, they might be. Their offense might be better, but their pitching might not be able to, be as good as it should be to keep up with the offense to help them. But they will be better overall.
Yeah.
But I agree with you guys as far as saying they're going to be better. But like always happens, it seems like this happens to most teams other than the ones Dodgers. They always have to worry about, okay, maybe our offense will be better, but what about our pitching? So you need both of them to kind of be decent at least, and
Yeah.
I think that the Braves their offense will be better, but their pitching, it's going to depend on how that goes. But I think overall they will be better though.
Yeah, and they got some deep parts of their bench with some additions. Like they're gonna have a full season from Jurickson Profar. They added on Mike Yastrzemski. They added on Ha-Sung Kim, who's going to be hurt for a while, but he's going to give them some infield depth when he comes back. And they also got a guy from the Astros called Mauricio Dubon, who is a very, very talented infielder. And their backup catcher, because Sean Murphy's hurt, is now Jonah Heim. And so the Braves do have a really solid club. I mean, they had the 2025 NL Rookie of the Year last year with Drake Baldwin.
There you go.
And are they going to have a fully capable Ronald Acuna Jr.? Is he going to return to MVP form, right? Is Matt Olson going to continue his thing? Is Ozzy Albies going to continue his thing? Austin Riley, the Braves have a lot of really great all-star players.
That's why I say don't underestimate them. Just because last year they had all the injuries last year, they got bit and they couldn't get over that 0-9 start. It's really difficult to overcome. You cannot win the pennant in April, but you damn sure can lose it.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the Mets, let's talk about the Phillies real quick. I don't think their Phillies are going to be as good as they were last year.
I thought they took a step backwards by losing a couple of key bats. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Look, I think the Phillies just have the problem that is always a massive problem in baseball. They're getting old, right? Like you have an old JT Realmuto, you're getting an aging Harper, you have an aging Trey Turner. You got rid of Castellanos because he couldn't be in the dugout or on the bench with the team. Kyle Schwarber, they just signed him into a big deal, but is he going to be a 50 home run guy for the next 5 years? I don't think so, right? So the Phillies are getting old.
Well, one thing though let's just save Schwarber for just a second.
Okay.
and I'm going to compare him to the dude that played right field for Texas and then became a DH for Seattle, and
Nelson Cruz.
Nelson Cruz. I see that as the same guy. Those
Yeah.
two guys are the same guy. And Cruz, all he did from the time he was 32 to 37 is he got better. And a DH that can study the pitching and see it and hit it better, and especially a big old boy like Schwarber who's a power hitter like Nelson Cruz was, I don't see Schwarber faltering at all. I just don't think he's worth $30 million.
So Zach Wheeler is not going to be ready on opening day, right?
As far as I know,
No.
he's out.
Yeah. So I mean, how far is he going to be out? Did they expect him to come in the middle of the year or what?
You know, with that injury, you never know. I would expect maybe May or June.
Yeah,
maybe.
I agree with you guys in that they're getting older. And they might not have done as well even with Zach Wheeler in there. But I think the fact that Zach Wheeler is not going to be there and who knows how he comes back, I think that the Braves could very easily, pass them this year. Like, go past them this year just because they're getting older and they're kind of they kind of remind me of a baseball version of the Bills, a team that you sit there and you go, this team could have done, they could have been to the big dance, but something always seemed to happen.
Yeah.
And I think their window's closing.
I was going to say exactly what you just said. I think the window is coming down.
Yeah.
It's landing on somebody's head.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think you're right there. I see them as a second, third. I think the Braves are going to pass them. I agree with you.
And I also predict. I don't know. I love. I don't know if you guys with the Well, I'm trying to think with the Yankees. You have Michael Kay. He gets kind of worked up. I'm not sure about the Reds and people online, but there's a guy on the Phillies. I forget his name. I see him sometimes. The Phillies. He's like a big. He's got an online show, and he goes bananas. I think he's gonna have a heart attack one of these days. And people look at it. He gets so worked up. I could see that guy being taken to the hospital because if the last couple of years drove him nuts, this year's going to just finish him off.
Yeah.
It's really difficult as a fan to have a team that's almost there.
Yeah, I always say that's worse in a way,
It's like rips your guts out,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the Phillies, like Zach Wheeler, maybe not being able to be there the whole season. Taijuan Walker's not great. They lost Ranger Suarez. Who knows what you're going to expect out of Jesus Luzardo. Christopher Sanchez is a great pitcher. I mean, one of the best in the MLB last year. And this is what bothered me about the Phillies is they got rid of a guy named Matt Strom, who was one of their best bullpen guys last year. And they were just like, hey, go to the Royals. And I'm like, okay, interesting choice to do, I guess.
And JR was talking about him last week, last time we did the podcast.
I know. And
JR was all pumped up that they got Matt Strom.
Yeah.
One of the problems with teams like the Phillies, and it just reminds me of in football, like with the Bills, one of the problems with teams that are just that close and don't seem to get through is that they get frustrated, they get desperate, they start to scramble. It's almost like they don't know, what button should we push? Who should we get out of here? Who should we? And sometimes they make the wrong move, like Dennis just said, and they end up, making it worse. Actually,
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're you don't ever want to do what the Cardinals are doing and what the Reds did, and that's a 100-game loss rebuild. You don't want to do that. You want to stay relevant so your people can come and buy your tickets, especially with what just happened in the MLB buying Fox. There's no more of those broadcasts. Everything now is broadcast through MLB, and through ESPN. ESPN owns MLB TV, and so you're going to basically get money for your games by how many people watch your games, and how do you get people to watch your games? You win, and if you're not winning, you're not making money. So. That's a big deal, what just happened there. Anyway, I'm not a fan of the Phillies this year. I'm looking at them in third place.
Okay. So here's the feature, Gabe. You are our Mets guy. And so we want to hear your take on the 2026, what you think the 2026 New York Mets are going to be.
Okay, well, uh, obviously, just you got to look at it in context. You look at what happened last year. Um, Actually, from the year before, remember it was like the middle of the season to the end. They went bananas. They were so together. Everything was working, and everybody was hoping that that magic would continue. Um, I don't know about you guys, if you can think of any teams in history, but that that seems to not rarely happen. It's weird. It's like if you have a great ending to a season and you're like, okay, hopefully next year we'll just continue that. There's something about the end of the season, winter, Christmas, the whole deal. By the time you come back, there are definitely no guarantees that's going to end that. And but it seemed to me it was just such a frustrating year because I can think of so many games where uh, like the offense would be doing something and then the pitching would mess it up, and then other games the pitching would be doing something and the offense would mess it up, and the weird things that happen, like Alonso throwing that ball weird to Senga, and then Senga's leg got messed up, and then from then on he was nowhere. It was just a weird year. It was very strange, and everybody it got to the point where towards the end where people were saying they can't blow this badly, can they? Can they completely fall apart like this? And it was almost like, if you've ever experienced this in your life, I'm sure anybody who's lived long enough has, where you kind of have some sort of an accent where something falls off the table, and you're thinking back of how it happened, and you're like, it seemed like I was trying my best not to let it happen, but it seemed like there was no way it was not going to happen. It was like everything just started falling apart. And believe me, I said to myself, like with 1 week to go, these people are going to blow it. I mean, they're completely flowing. And then part of me said, I hope they blow it, because what I really did not want to happen is they make the playoffs somehow, and then they say making the playoffs is like a deodorizer. You make the playoffs, and all of a sudden, oh, we made the playoffs, so we're good. No, I said at this point, they fouled this thing up so badly that I don't want the deodorizers. I want the full impact of what they did to be obvious. And the way they just ended up at the end, you knew something big was going to happen. And a lot of people I was talking to, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that, they should have kept Alonso, they should have. I think what happened at the end was, to be honest with you, it was just a case of, I almost feel like I'm talking about the Phillies in a way, because it was almost like we should have been better than this. If we really look at it, we should have done better than we did, and keeping it the same is just not going to work. And then what a lot of people will say is that the GM, he's not here to win popularity contests. He's not. I happen to think he's pretty good. The problem is that in order to be pretty good, you got to have guts, and I think he has guts. Some GMs don't. If he didn't have guts, there's a lot of things that he would have not done or done to kind of play it safe. But I think he sincerely wants to do it his way, and he wants to win, and he has a vision in his head. Um, and I don't, in the case of Alonso, I mean, I know, I get it, all the home runs and everything. I love the polar bear. I love him, great guy and everything. But there was just something about him that I said to myself, I don't understand. It's like, I for every home run he hits, there's situations where he'll come up and you'll have, and I know it's hard to say that with a guy with, what would he have, like 100 and whatever, 120 something
Yeah.
RBI.
Yeah.
I know somebody will be saying, how can you say that? He had 120. He could have had another 30 or 40. He would just come up with people on base, and he would choke or something, or he would hit into a double play or something. So I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's a great player. But when things are not working, sometimes you got to really shake it up. Now, did they improve first base? No,
No.
I don't think they didn't improve first base. But I sometimes sometimes you got to shake it up, and I guess it's going to be one of those things where it remains to be seen over the long haul, with the next 2 or 3 years, whether what Stearns did was a good thing or not. As for this year, they have one thing going for them. The team last year was horrible
Yeah.
from middle to the end. So when you look at the two season records at the end, of this year coming up, you're going to say, wow, they were slightly better, or yeah, they were. But the difference is this year's team, I don't think is going to do that. They're not going to just fall apart like that. They may just be consistently end up in the same, somewhat the same record as last year. You know what I'm saying? Like they might be a little better, but it'll be more consistent. And it's just the look of a team playing that well at the beginning, then completely falling apart like that. That it's just it's not a good look.
Yeah.
And I think that's what did it. It was just not only the fact that they didn't make the playoffs, but the way they didn't make the playoffs. It was the way that it was like a tale of two seasons. In fact, if you think about it, the last two seasons have been a tale of two seasons. It seems like in the year before they were horrible in the beginning, then great at the end. And then last year they were pretty good at the beginning and then horrible at the end. It's like, I think after a while you say to yourself, can we put a full season together here?
Yeah.
And so I think, they made radical changes. I think it took guts to do what Stearns did. And I know it sounds like a cop-out, but it remains to be seen how good or bad that was over the long haul. But as far as this particular year, they got a chance to make the playoffs. I think they could. Then nobody's going to go anywhere with that. They're going to make the playoffs. So that's great. The Dodgers are going to come out of there. So, but I think this is kind of a stepping stone on the way to hopefully at becoming better over the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to the fans that love the players that left are going to say, you see, I told you so. And the fans that wanted change are going to say, hey, let's be patient. It's going to come down to stuff like, for example, Bichette at third base. Is that going to be a disaster? I think a lot of things are never as bad as you think they're going to be. So I don't think he's going to be a nightmare at third base, but I don't think he's going to be obviously good enough to quiet the people that are thinking he shouldn't be there.
Well, let me throw something at you. You lost Polar Bear. You gained Marcus Semien and Bo Bichette.
And Jorge Polanco.
Yeah.
Are you better? Yeah. Are you better? Are you one game better?
Oh, you're going to be. I think they're going to be. I think, and then Peralta, you can't forget that. My God.
Yeah.
What a difference. And between Peralta
and Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, they got Peralta and McLean. And McLean now, having kind of establishing himself and stuff. I think they're going to be maybe 5 or 6 games better.
If they're 5 or 6 games better, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. Yeah. I feel they're going to make the playoffs.
I think subtracting Pete Alonso, I was sad because I wanted to see Pete Alonso be in a lifetime Met, but I get it. But I think getting rid of him, Jeff McNeil was a good, hey, we got to drop this guy.
Yeah, it was time.
Getting a Starling Marte, he time to go. The one that got rid of that shocked me, but I think it was actually a good call, was Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, that was a good call. I feel that was a good call. They had to do that. Yeah. He was. How should I put this? He was sneakily bad. Is that a phrase?
He wasn't as good as what the numbers showed.
Yeah, like he was. Again, and like Dennis said, there was a lot of guys on that team, and I'm sure that both of you guys on your teams have had this over the years. You have the heartstrings guys, the guys that the main reason, if you really cut down to it, the main reason why you keep them is because, they've been there and you like them, and there's roots.
Their moms make really good food.
Yeah, and I heard that Brandon Nimmo was great on, as a teammate in the clubhouse. He invited people to his house. I mean, yeah, that's nice, except that you're trying to win here. Right. And I think it was a good move to get rid of Nimmo because they got rid of him 1 year before it became ridiculously obvious that they should have gotten rid of him.
So because it became ridiculously obvious that he wasn't going anywhere at the end of last year.
I also think that Juan Soto this year is going to have a Juan Soto crazy season. Because last year, it was when his first contract year, he had that little bit of a slow start. People were kind of,
could you imagine what their record would have been in June if Soto had been hot?
Yeah. No, and he finished the season with a 6.2 WAR. Can you imagine Juan Soto being Juan Soto the entire season? He's going to have a 10 WAR almost.
He's crazy,
yeah. So we want Juan Soto. So here's the thing: are the Mets going to win the division? Do you think?
If I'm looking at it, and what Dennis said about the Braves, and what we said about the Phillies, I think that the division is theirs to win unless they become Mets-like.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. In other words, if they put it together, if how about Lewis Robert? If Lewis Robert becomes even a semblance of what he used to be,
Yeah.
I think they can win the division. What a prediction I'll make is I think that somewhere during the season, it's going to become painfully obvious, underlying painfully, that somebody like Sean Manaea or Kodai Senga, I would say those are the two candidates in the rotation.
Yeah.
That either they're going to get injured, which will make the decision easy, or it'll just become obvious that they're not cutting it. And I predict that one or two, sort of what happened last year with McLean and Tom, one or two kids are going to come up from the minor leagues and are going to surprise everybody. And at
Yeah.
least one of them is going to be incredibly good.
Well,
And
yeah.
they have a ridiculous.
What do you think about the pickup of Devin Williams?
It's ironic. You get rid of Alonso hits a home run off Williams in the playoffs, and they
Yeah.
end up switching teams later on a couple of years later. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously,
I just
I'd
think
rather-
Devin Williams has seen his day, and I think they caught up to him. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, no, I believe me. When and I used to talk with my friends, my Met fans, and when Diaz left, that was devastating. That was devastating
Yeah.
because they could take losing Alonso, but Diaz they needed badly, and to lose Diaz and replace him with Devin Williams, that's not going to cut it. They're going to need help from other people in the bullpen there. In my opinion, they don't have a closer. They have a bullpen by committee.
Yeah.
Agreed, man. I
Agree,
think
yeah.
Devin Williams is he showed what he was with the Yankees. He
Yeah.
showed you what he was, what he is. He is no
Right.
longer the Brewers guy, or the Brewers would have kept him.
Well, we saw in the World Series what happens when your supposed closer is capable of allowing the weakest hitter on the other team to hit a home run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The World Series.
Yeah.
World Series, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, the East, definitely the Mets to take because of the declining Phillies, questionable Braves, and Marlins are always like, hey, are they gonna? Is it this 3 year? And the Nationals are probably not even close. But
No,
the Mets
I wouldn't-
built it to where they should win it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, as Dennis said. I mean, it's the Mets to win it, but believe me, if the Braves win the division, because they just have that tradition of overall, if you look at the last 20 years, just figuring out a way to recover and surprise people and stuff.
Hey, wasn't it the Braves last year, or was it the Marlins last year that eliminated the Mets in the last series?
It was the Marlins, I believe.
Yeah, the Marlins are one of those teams, a lot like the Rockies, but not a bad team.
Yeah.
They're going to determine who wins this division.
They could, yeah.
I really
you-
think so. I think that they're a 500 ball club, and the better you play against the Marlins, the better
Well,
chance you have to win the division.
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but whichever, this would be funny. Between the Braves and the Mets, who's ever playing the Marlins towards the end, at the very last series or the next to last series, I don't know if I'd want to be in that position.
The Marlins they're fearless. Those guys are they run the bases like going out of style. I'm
The
going to tell you my prediction for that division right there. I really think the Braves are going to take that division. I think the Braves have that.
To me, if I was putting it at percentage, I would say right now 50-50 between the Braves and the Mets.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gentra?
I like Gabe's perception on the 50-50 Braves and Mets. I really want to see what type of year Bryce Harper has. Is Bryce Harper in a decline or not? So if Bryce Harper just had an off year, because he still had a good year, not a great year, but if Bryce Harper it gets back to his capabilities to where he's like peak Bryce Harper, and then they can have that Trey Turner and peak Trey Turner, the Phillies are still in there for me too as well.
You and I,
But they're still old.
You and I remember the Bryce Harper, Mike Trout rookie year.
Yeah.
But Bryce Harper, this is his 13th season. That's what you got to think
But
about.
here's the thing: Bryce
13th year,
Harper,
man.
Bryce Harper's 32, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Juan Soto, 26.
Yeah.
And this is crazy to think about Juan Soto still just being 26 years old.
If Zach Wheeler was there the whole season, I think it would be 40, 30, 30, maybe Mets or Braves with the 40,
Yeah,
and the other two with the 30. But I think that Zach Wheeler thing is going to kill them.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt them a lot.
All right, last division here. I'm gonna just kind of bypass a couple teams real quick, and it's the Pirates and the Cardinals. Cardinals are in a strict rebuild mode, and I just don't think there's anything to the Cardinals this year.
Well, one thing you got to watch out for the Cardinals is they have a tradition of having a great minor league system. Everybody was complaining, oh, they had a bad year, they had a bad year, they had a bad year. They were 6 games under 500. That's not a terrible season.
Yeah, but
That's good for most teams. For the Cardinals, it's not. But the Cardinals were 4 wins away from being right there in contention. They're not out of it. The rebuild is not a real rebuild. It's a reload. Don't sleep on the Cardinals.
I'm sleeping on the Cardinals.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Don't sleep on them.
I'm sleeping on the Cardinals,
They're
man.
going to be tough. They're going to be tough.
Any thoughts on the Cardinals, Gabe?
Well, I know what Dennis is talking about as far as there's something about certain franchises that can surprise you. Friend of mine who's a Cardinals fan used to say, if you sleep on the Cardinals, they're going to flip you the bird. So
There it is. 100%.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm also sleeping on the Pirates. The only thing that and I'm sorry to our Pirates fan out there.
We got a couple of them.
Yeah, Pirates fans out there, I'm sorry. The only thing you really got going for you is Paul Skeens. That's it.
They've got another pitcher, too. They've got another starting pitcher that's really good.
But not like Paul Skeens good.
Nobody's as good as Paul Skeens, okay? But they have one other pitcher that they just got last year was a rookie.
I don't see him on here at all.
Oh, goodness. Click on the Pirates over here. You'll check him out. He was a rookie last year. Go down to pitching. You're almost there. There you go. Let's look at him here. Here you go.
Yeah, the Pirates don't have anybody, bro.
Bubba Chandler.
Bubba Chandler. Okay,
Bubba Chandler.
Fine.
Don't sleep on a 22-year-old kid that has a solid season last year.
I don't sleep on anybody whose first name is Bubba.
Right?
Exactly. Don't sleep on him. They're predicting him as a top 10 rookie.
Okay, well, cool. Like Pirates and Cardinals, I still think they're going to finish right where they did. There's 3 teams in the Central. I think this is where the division rests in. Let's start with the Brewers first. The Brewers did some major roster overhauls, but I've not been putting faith in the Brewers year after year, and honestly, that's my biggest fault. I think as a baseball person is I just don't put faith in the Brewers. So I mean, prove me wrong. Are the Brewers going to be good or no?
The Brewers are always going to be hard to beat. They're always going to give you a great series. It's going to have a lot of running. Their team runs all the time. Everybody on that team can steal a base. The equipment boy can steal a base. They're amazing. And Christian Yelich is still Christian Yelich.
But they didn't add anything.
They did not, but they've got a minor league system that comes up, and they're going to surprise you.
Okay.
Don't sleep on them. And people are looking at kind of overlooking them. The minute you overlook a team that just won 100 games last year, 99 games, don't overlook them.
What do you think, Gabe?
The Brewers look like a half team to me. By half, I don't mean like they're half good or anything. What I mean is, and believe me, being a Mets fan, I know what this is like. They seem like the kind of team that if you look at their first half and the second half this year coming up, one of them will be great and one of them won't be so great, and that'll be the difference. They just seem like I don't know if it's the beginning or the end, but it's 82 games will look good or like great, and the other 82 won't be so great, and that'll be the difference. I don't know if for some reason I get this feeling that it's going to catch up with them. It might be at the end of the year, the last 30 or 40 games. I think they're going to. They're going to take a step back just from the momentum of all those years of being, as Dennis said, always hanging around. They'll be hanging around.
I hope you're right, but I'm telling you right now that Murphy can make people play.
Yeah.
The Brewers will beat you if you let them. Let's put it that way. You
Yeah.
have to beat them.
Yeah.
I'll get to them more when we talk about the Reds. I'll talk a little more about the Brewers.
All right. So before we get to the Reds, let's do the Cubs real quick. 92 win team last year. Looked pretty much the same. Got rid of Kyle Tucker, added Alex Bregman.
Now, what do you think of that? Tucker for Bregman, even Steven?
I think it's. I don't.
In a
Yeah, I
better
guess.
position too. I got an infielder that hits the same as Kyle Tucker
Kyle Tucker's a better hitter than Bregman.
and better base runner.
Yeah,
Isn't
but not a
he-
better
and
fielder.
Isn't he a better club? He's supposed to be a ridiculously great clubhouse guy. Really unites the team. So
Yeah,
I think that's important.
yeah. I want to see more out of Pete Crow Armstrong in the second half. I really hope he turns into a star that he's supposed to be.
He's on Team USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whenever I hear that name, I just get nauseous.
I know what you mean. He did it to you, didn't he?
Yeah, but dang, man, the Cubs had a really the Cubs last year offensively were so good though.
Yes.
Like 1 through 9, their lineup was stacked.
Yep.
Pete Crow Armstrong gives me an illness called PCA. I just have it in my nightmares. The way the
Yes.
Mets gave him up, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I really think the Cubs. I think the Cubs are better than the Brewers, definitely. Lineup wise, absolutely, they can do the same thing they did last year. Pitching wise, I just don't know if they're there consistently. As far they have good starting pitching, not great starting pitching. They're kind of mediocre in that aspect. Their bullpen was really great. Can it continue? That's always the that's always the question about bullpens. So the Cubs still look kind of like the same as they were last year. So, you know, mediocre take on the Cubs. So let's get to the real discussion here because this is what Dennis has been wanting to talk about for a month now. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds. And do you want to kick this one off?
No, I'm gonna finish it.
You're gonna finish it. Well, Gabe, what's your thoughts on the Reds, real quick?
I think the Reds were obviously. I know Dennis not going to like this, but last year they made the playoffs because the Mets fell apart. This year they could make the playoffs on their own. In other words, they could win the division. They don't have to worry about the Mets falling apart. They can do it on their own, winning the division. I honestly think that it's going to be one of those things where, because of the fact that they made the division last year, they're going to have kind of a target on their back in that division. Obviously, they made it to the playoffs, so they're going to be all worked up for that. I think it's going to come down to, and I could turn it around to you guys. If you were a betting man right now and you had to put it as a percent between the Reds and the Cubs, who wins the division? What would you guys put it at?
I'm going to start. I'm going to say Cubs because I think the Cubs have a better offense because the Reds need to prove their offense because they had a terrible offense last year.
What would you put it though? What percentage?
Percentage, I would say Cubs 57.
Okay.
Yeah. Cubs 57, Reds 43. And that's
Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think with the pitching though, the Reds got them. The Reds have them on pitching,
Yeah.
But the offense is just not there for the Reds for me.
And Dennis is what, 98% Reds or what?
He's probably in the 90s at least, I would say, right?
The Reds did some things in the offseason that other teams didn't do. The Reds almost whitewashed the bullpen, kept 3 guys and fired everybody else. They've got a bullpen that is made up of veterans and strong arms. There's nobody in that bullpen that is overpoweringly frightening, but they got rid of all the guys that walked people. All the guys that threw ball one when they came in out of the bullpen are gone. Now they have guys that come in and find the zone and challenge you with soft contact. I love their bullpen. Okay, you were talking about Diaz, and I brought this up before. Diaz to the Dodgers. Diaz had 28 saves last year. The Dodgers paid him $21 million this year. He was 28 out of 32. That's an 87 to 90%. The Reds kept Emilio Pagan. He was 32 out of 38 for an 84%. They paid $10 million. I'll take that any day. I'm happy with that.
Why didn't the Dodgers take Pagan?
The Reds, he wanted to stay there for half the price. Half the price
Yeah.
of Pagan.
Jeez.
So I'm a
Yeah.
fan there. Okay. Starting pitching. The Reds have the number 4, according to Fangraphs, the number 4 starting pitching top 4 in baseball, with 2 first, second year guys going to be coming in and filling the 5 hole, maybe Williamson. The Reds have the best starting pitching in that division, without a doubt. They're starting pitching. But you and I both know starting pitching and bullpen is a day-to-day thing.
Hmm.
You can get blown up one day, but it's a long season. It's 162. Had the Mets won one more game in April, the Reds wouldn't be talking about playoffs. They'd have been out of it. It's a long season. Here's where the Reds improved, right here. They're not going to start TJ Friedel in center field every day. He's a platoon player now. They got a righty and a lefty. Spencer Steer's going to play left, and they've got a guy on the bench that's just about as good. Right field is the question, but the big addition was getting a bopper in the middle of the lineup. Here's your comparison. Kyle Schwarber is $35 million a year. He's averaging approximately 42 home runs over the past 5 years. Eugenio Suarez is $15 million, and he's averaging 39. I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. Mhm.
I got a guy that's got the same batting average as Kyle Schwarber, about 20 points less on base percentage. They both strike out a ton. They both hit into double plays. One thing that Suarez has is he can actually play a little bit of third base if I got to have him there. And I got him for half the price of Kyle Schwarber. I'm a fan. I'm good. Our biggest question mark in the Reds is Ellie De La Cruz an MVP. If he does not play MVP baseball, the Reds will not win the division. If he plays up to where he's in the top 5 of the MVP running, the Reds will run away with the division. That's how I'm putting it right there. The whole thing depends on Ellie De La Cruz.
So if Ellie De La Cruz and the pitching are what they should be, the Reds win the division.
And not just win it, they run away with it. The big series happened with the Reds last year, the last series of the year. They played in Milwaukee, and they beat the Brewers at the Brewers for the first time in 5 years. The Brewers then played the Dodgers. The next series, the Brewers played the Dodgers and got annihilated. The Reds played the Dodgers and were 2 innings away from beating the Dodgers. 2 bad innings. One inning where they gave them 5 outs, another inning where they gave them 4 outs, and that cost them 2 ball games. The Reds Francona will not let them make those mistakes like that again.
So I'm going to cut the baby in half and say, we're going with what Dennis says, because I know he knows the Reds better than anybody. I'm going to say the De La Cruz turns out to be as good as they say he is, and the pitching is slightly not as good, so they end up not running away with the division, but beating the Cubs by 2 or 3 games.
They did take the series from the Cubs last year. That was something that they haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, I'm optimistic about it. They beat the Cardinals up, but you know who got them and got them bad? 8-5. The Pirates. If you and so did the Marlins. The Marlins beat them up. And so did the Rockies. You have to beat up on the last place teams, and the Reds failed to do that last year. And I think Francona makes Terry Francona is the highest paid manager in baseball.
What do you think? What do you both think? Because this seems to be like a recurring thing. What do you think is the difference between the teams that are, let's say you take team A and B, who are both on paper almost identically good? What is the difference between the team that beats up on the last place team and the team that, ends up allowing the last place team to win 30 or 40% of the games?
Yeah, I think it's a psychological thing when it comes down to it, where these people are under excruciating amounts of pressure. Yeah. And, when you get put in that position, 2 out of 3 times they should win. But in baseball, when those statistical anomalies happen and you can't get past it, that separates greatness from mediocrity, I think.
Hey, you got
go
it.
ahead.
I'm exactly where you are. Exactly.
Well, I go back to what Dennis said, because sometimes people will say, "Oh, having experience, you know how to overcome that." Sometimes they think having experience and being in the game a long time could backfire on you, because the longer your career, the more you've had the ups and downs, the more you've had the chokes, and maybe you don't want to have any more chokes. Meanwhile, the young kids, they don't know any better. Sometimes I think the young kids don't feel any pressure at all.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know which between the Reds and the Cubs, which of those teams has that factor of not choking against, let's say, the Pirates. But yeah, I think it's going to. I think the Reds will win the division by a couple of games. It's 3 or 4 games. It's not going to be a runaway because, as Dennis himself said, it's a long season.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to who the Pirates.
I also think it's the manager as well. And that I think that's the difference between chokers and non-chokers is when those Hall of Fame,
who has the better between the Reds and the Cubs?
Well, man, you got Craig Counsell versus Terry Francona. Now, Francona's proven. Counsell's great, but he hasn't won a World Series yet. He hadn't been to the World Series as a manager yet, right? So he hasn't been there.
Right.
So Francona probably has more. More like he has more of like, hey, this is how maybe to get my team not to choke.
A manager probably wins 1 to 2 games a year, but a bad manager can lose a lot more than that. So Francona's going to do what he does. So does Counsell. I think what it all comes down to on this whole thing is which guys show up and can. That every team's going to have that losing streak.
Yeah.
Every team is going to have that 4, 5, 6 game losing streak, and how are you going to stop it? Well, let me tell you how the Reds stop it. Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Brady Singer, Chase Burns. That's how the Reds stop it. You can't beat those guys twice in a row. You can't do it. The Reds' starting 5 is as good or better than anybody in baseball except the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just thought of this. The Central Division has 3 of the best managers in the league with Francona, Counsell, and Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
But they also have 2 of the worst with the Cardinals guy, Marmol. And then I can't even think of who the Pirates guy is, but he's a new guy.
New guy, but they just signed Marmol to a 3-year deal.
Yeah. Okay, well that's our NL discussion about the divisions and whatnot. So like some wrap up questions here. Which team do you think is going to take the National League? Gabe, who do you think is going to take the National League?
Gabe, give us your final 2 and then a winner.
Okay, final 2. Whoever wins the division between the Reds and the Cubs will go against the Dodgers in the National League Championship. The Dodgers will win that. Yeah. So and then on the other side, I know you guys did the American League.
Yeah.
I think Seattle against the Yankees.
Yeah.
Seattle wins it, so I think it's going to be the same as last year. Dodgers against this time the Seattle, and like I said, once you get to that, then it's a lot of things can happen, and if maybe Seattle learns their lesson, and if they ever get to a Game 7, tell the guy to get a little closer to home.
So I'm going to go right with you. I'm going to say I'm going to go Dodgers are going to get to the finals, but I also think I like the Central Division teams. I like the Reds or the Cubs, but I think it's going to be either a Mets or Braves or Phillies versus Dodgers thing. And so I'm going to pick Dodgers again because I think that's the expectation. But the AL, I think it's definitely Seattle or New York. But I want my New York versus LA rematch, and I want New York to take them down.
All right, I'm going to go against the grain. LA's going to get the bye, and the bye don't win very often. LA is going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, and they're going to lose to the New York Mets.
Oh, wow.
So who you have winning the league?
I got the Reds winning the World Series.
You got the Reds winning the World Series. You're a homer.
We might have something here because the Mets fan is the one that gave the Mets the worst possible. So that's how it works. That's the best way to go.
Okay, fair enough.
The Mets will play the Dodgers in the first round of playoffs. It will be in L.A. It'll be 2 out of 3. You got to beat them twice, and they will.
Okay. So who do you have as your Cy Young Award winner, Dennis, for the NL?
Paul Skeens.
Skeens?
Paul Skeens.
Okay.
Do you know the Reds have not beaten him yet? And now here I'll throw a condition into my prediction. If the Reds beat Paul Skeens once this year, they'll win it all. Because they're 0-5 against Paul Skeens.
I think if Hunter Green throws over 200 innings, he'll win the Cy.
Hunter Green might start 20 games this year.
Either that, I'm going Yamamoto.
I like Yamamoto, but I'm going Paul Skeens.
Gabe, who do you got for Cy Young?
I was thinking either Skeens or Yamamoto.
Okay. And so National League MVP, I mean, the obvious choice is Shohei because if he is a pitcher and a hitter, he's going to be super hard to beat. But I'm just going to go and say I think the MVP is going to if Juan Soto has a monster year and the Mets go a long way, I think Juan Soto is going to be the MVP.
I think Juan Soto has a chance to do it this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's those two.
Okay.
I don't see any other. The only other real superstar that I see in the National League is Paul Skeens, and I could see him winning the MVP.
Oh, being like the Cy Young MVP.
I think I've never seen anything like Paul Skeens. I have never seen anybody get an under 2 ERA the first 2 years he's in the game.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, that's our NL predictions. Just to wrap up the show here. We got only a few moments left. We have a Star Power Challenge going on right now. It's last month was February was the 1920s versus the 1960s. This month, we're announcing that this month's challenge in March is going to be the 1890s, dubbed the 1890s National Monopoly versus the 1970s Disco Diamonds. So that's our Star Power Challenge for this month. And Gabe, I'm getting your cards ready. They're about to get shipped out to you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
A couple of quick announcements for Star Power Baseball. Guys, this is a sad thing that's going to happen right here. But even though gas prices have dropped, the FedEx, the UPS, and the United States Postal System raised their prices. So any order that you put out, you have to pay $5 shipping. Sorry, but that's the way it is. They raised their prices. I'm not raising the price on cards. I'm just saying I don't care if you buy $10 or $100, you have to pay an extra $5 in shipping.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. Gabe, you got anything else for us before we sign off on the airwaves here?
I had a question for the two of you.
Yeah.
What would you two, each of you, say? What do you think is going to be the biggest surprise in Major League Baseball this year?
Okay, that's a great question. I want to see the interpretation of the tapping of the head for balls and strikes. Because I've started to see some of a little bit in the spring training games. So, like if a ball's out of the zone, or if a player thinks the ball's out of the zone, a batter can tap his head, and they can look at the replay to see if the ball is in the strike zone or out of the strike zone. So I'm interested to see if that's actually going to majorly affect the game, because I think you're going to start seeing these guys that are truly masterminds with their eyes of the zone. Because I saw two players this past week that did it. One was Matt Olson, one was Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge got it wrong.
Matt Olson got it right.
Yeah. Okay, Francona's come out with the Reds and told them how.
Okay.
The Reds pitchers are not allowed to tap their head. Period. The end. Only the catcher and the hitters.
Okay.
And he's only going to have like a few hitters that can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Reds are very conservative. They don't have facial hair. You know how that works.
I also think I think stolen base caught stealing percentages are going to go up a little bit, because I think this is the third year the catchers are dealing with it. I think they're going to figure out how to throw runners out better.
What do you guys see this possible lockout thing? How do you think that's going to influence the way teams, players, owners, whatever you want, how they behave this year? In other words, how their strategy or what they do is. Do you think it's going to impact them at all?
I think it's already done. You've seen the shorter contracts. Nobody's wanting to give the long contracts because they don't know what's going to happen. Baseball union has a brand new rep. Big tall guy he's gone. They have a new head of the players union, but there is the long-term contracts, 8, 9, 10-year contracts. You didn't see any of that this year. 5 was about the biggest I saw.
Well, if Stearns on the Mets could give a 6-month contract, I think he would do it.
I will say this. I think longtime contributor to the show, St. Louis Sean, is very, very against, and he hasn't been on the show in a while, but I've talked to him about this. He's very, very against what the Dodgers are doing right now, right? He doesn't like the overspending and the deferred payments, and he says it's really bad for baseball. And
I agree.
And I understand the point of view. But the players, I think, and I don't want to put this the wrong way, the players are your biggest obstacle, because the players are always wanting to make more for who they are, right? So as long as there's no, the salary cap, the lowest income guys in baseball are always going to make more money, but you're always going to have the guys in the top that are going to make the tens and hundreds of $1,000,000. But as long as they're making that money, your bottom guys are always going to make more money. And I think the players union is always going to say, hey, no, we don't want that, because as a bottom player, we can always make a minimum of what, $750,000 or something crazy like that.
Well, right now, the rumors that are out there, and I listen to the Locked On podcast every day, Locked On Baseball, Locked On Reds, and the rumors that are out there right now is the low end of the salary cap is going to be between 140 and 160 on the millions, okay? That's going to be the floor. You must spend at least this much on your salary. The top end, they're talking about 250. That's still $100 million difference in the low and the high. Let's just put a freaking cap on it and a low ball that says, make it a $50 million. Don't build disparity into baseball. If you're going to do this, the reason is to get equity. What is it called? Parity. You want parity, like the NFL, where you don't have repeat champions ever, like the NBA, where you don't have repeat champions ever. That's what you're looking for. Well, if you're going to allow $100 million discrepancy in low and high, you're not doing anything. That's crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I like seeing repeat champions. I like seeing dynasties. I really do.
Maybe I'm being naive, but can you guys explain to me why can't they make the floor and the ceiling something like 250 to 300? Is there something wrong with that?
I think they can. I just think that they're trying to hide stuff. I really do think. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I really think these teams can afford it. They really can.
Without a doubt.
They're just choosing not to.
The new players union dude came out here just the other day and called out the Reds and said, we know things and we're not allowed to tell them. And your team is one of those things we know about. And actually called out the Reds, who are one of the low payrolls at 142. They said, we're calling you out, guys. We know that you have more money. We know, but he couldn't say that. He couldn't actually say it.
I've always believed, like, the people that buy a baseball team, they're not homeless. So you could make them. You could tell them, hey, you're going to buy a baseball team. You're going to spend $300 million a year. That's all there is to it. You're going, that's it. If you're not willing to do that, get out.
Okay, I said it earlier today. I said it earlier in the show. The new ESPN ownership, there's also an app. Okay, like if you want to watch every Mets game, you're not going to be able to do that on MLB TV, because every home game, you're in New York, you're not going to get that. You have to buy the Mets channel. Okay, they're going to be selling this as an app so that you can use it on your phone for, I think it's $99 per team. You're going to get more fans to watch your $99 broadcasts if you win games. If the Mets are 20 games under 500 at the All-Star break, you're going to see nobody in the stands, and you're going to see nobody watching them on TV. If they're 14 games over 500 at the All-Star break, you're not going to be able to buy a ticket. That's what the whole thing's all about. And that's what this new the new app that they're going to have, so you can watch out of, what is it called?
Out of market.
Out of market or in market games. Like with the Reds, I can't watch when they play the Cardinals, Astros, Royals, and Rangers. I can't watch them. Same with Gentry with the Yankees. When they play the Astros, Cardinals, Royals, and Rangers, Gentry can't watch the Yankees on MLB TV. If he pays $99, he can watch them along with his MLB subscription.
For me, though, that like $99 for
one team.
But that's in addition to what I'm already paying.
If you want to watch the rest of the major leagues, then you pay the $149. If you just want to watch the Yankees play ball, it costs $99.
I'll just pay the $149.
And then you don't get them when they're in area.
That's crap.
I know it is. I know you're right, but MLB is in conjunction with ESPN, and it's all about the almighty dollar. And I feel for guys like when you're in the hometown.
Yeah.
Like you got a team right there. In Arkansas, we don't have a team.
No.
So we're not really crushed like somebody in California would be. If you're sitting in California, you can't watch anybody that's playing in, was it Arizona? And you can't anybody in California.
LA, San Francisco.
And then, yeah.
Probably Colorado.
No, that's not.
Too far away?
It's states
Seattle.
it's states that touch your state.
Okay.
They have to touch your state. And you look at New York. Does Massachusetts border New York?
Yes.
I think so. Let me see.
Okay, then you can't watch Red Sox games.
Sure.
On MLB TV, you can't watch it. Okay, and that's the sad thing. So you're missing 81 Yankees games. You're missing 81 Mets games, and if they play the Red Sox, that's another 13. So 7 more there. You're missing 100 ball games for each team, man.
So put a team in Hawaii.
For 150, you paid $150 for it. Yeah, but you got the Yes Network, which is pretty solid.
Yeah.
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 Should be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be. And I expect 2027 to see probably no baseball until May or June.
Yikes.
Wow.
Well, thanks for bringing that point up. We are running out of time here, and we want to thank Gabriel Garnica for joining us. Thank you, Gabe, for being here.
Thank you guys for inviting me. It's been a
man.
pleasure.
So what we're going to do is we're going to let you sign it off because you're the one that came up with it, man. So, yeah.
You got to. I came up with a number of them. Which one are you referring to now?
The dice are nice.
Oh yeah. The dice are nice, but the spin is in.
Yeah. All right. Everybody take care. We'll talk to you next time on Star Powercast.
All right. Take care.